Welcome to another edition of the Proactive Prevention Podcast. Where we share powerful stories and compelling information about substance use and abuse, about addiction, recovery, and more. I'm your host, Jimbo in stereo, and today we have a very special guest. Someone who has dedicated his career to both responding to and preventing some of the most heartbreaking losses a community can face. Now that's proactive prevention. Joining us today is Charles Chuck Kiessling, the longtime Lycoming County Coroner, a flight nurse with Geisinger LifeFlight, and an assistant fire chief for the old Lycoming Township Volunteer Fire Company. Through his work, Chuck has seen firsthand the devastating impact of substance abuse, traffic accidents, and violence on families in our communities. He's worked to change policies, educate the public, and implement programs like the Child Death Review Team and the Lycoming County Cribs for the Kids program, all in an effort to save lives before tragedy strikes. Today we'll be talking with him about the realities of alcohol-related deaths, the ongoing fentanyl crisis, and the steps we can take as a community to prevent future tragedies. We'll also discuss his career path, what drives his passion for this work, and what's next for him. Thanks for joining us today, Chuck. Can you give us a reason you're joining us here today? To start, for those in our audience who might not be familiar with you, Can you introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background?
Well, my background is I started out years ago as an EMT and ended up in nursing, and then moved from nursing as an emergency room nurse to coroner since 2000. So now it's going on 25 years. I've been working in the coroner's office, and as part of our responsibilities, we have to go out and investigate horrific type situations, tragic loss of lives, and the worst by far are the young people that die suddenly and unexpectedly. They're definitely the hardest part of our day-to-day operations.
So that are some of your day-to-day responsibilities then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, what percentage of deaths in Lycoming County are alcohol-related, and your young people, I guess, and how are the data trends in recent years?
Yeah, the numbers actually, we just pulled up the numbers here for the last few years, and it's about 25 to 30% of our fatal crashes in Lycoming County tend to be alcohol related. The good news is it's not the young people. So that's a good thing, but we want to keep it that way. Okay. And I think that's part of what our goal, we've worked on this for years, doing mock crash programs in the county and other education programs in the schools to talk about the risks of driving under the influence, texting and driving too fast, unrestrained driving, those types of things that typically are the reasons why we're seeing young people die in crashes.
Now, could you define that before we go any farther? I guess DUI is?
Driving under the influence. And it used to be primarily alcohol, but we're now seeing alcohol, we're seeing marijuana, we're seeing toxicology reports come back with narcotics on board, all sorts of substances. And from that standpoint, I have a real concern about legalization of marijuana. There's almost 500,000 people, card-carrying people out there that are currently carrying medical marijuana cards.
And Pennsylvania?
In Pennsylvania.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a significant number of folks. And the cards are, for those people that need that for pain control or anxiety or whatever it's prescribed for, that's great. But you're under the influence. Sure. You're under the influence of those substances, even though you have a card carrying, membership, using that for your health purposes. But if you're operating a vehicle, you're impaired, just like alcohol or any other substances. And that's a concern to me. And I've been talking to some of the folks at law enforcement and some of the other programs I've been involved with. So I think it's something to keep in mind. I don't know which way this whole thing about legalization of marijuana is going to go, but it does concern me from looking at statistics in Colorado when they legalized marijuana out there. The numbers of highway fatalities and DUI incidents spike considerably, and I worry that could happen in Pennsylvania. And
so you've obviously seen that as a coroner. You've already seen the spike.
We're already not so much spikes. The numbers of fatal crashes is up somewhat, but not horrible like we've seen. Early on, when I first started between 2000 and 2008, we had a surge of young people dying, teenagers dying in crashes.
Okay.
To the point where I almost considered not running again for re-election because it bothered me so much that I had to go out and make death notification to families. And like I said, that's the worst part of our job, is notifying a parent that your son or daughter is not coming home and has died in a crash. So we actually put out, you can look on our county coroner website, we have maps, and we actually went out and got photos of those kids that died, got permission from their families. They sent us photos, and we put those faces on county maps, and we put those out into the schools, and those are available on our website and that was a tool to help raise awareness and say, good kids make bad choices sometimes, and they're not wearing seatbelts, they're driving too fast, or in rare occasions they were impaired. So we got those out there, and we did a lot of pushing in the schools and educating young folks, and our numbers have dropped considerably as far as teen deaths. We still have a significant number of motor vehicle crashes, but it's the numbers are less than what they've been, so which is a good thing.
Now, maybe this is a bad question, but can you give me a specific example without naming any names or anything of one of the worst cases that you can recall where you had to go to a family and say, Johnny or Susie was killed in a DUI crash? Do you mind doing that for us?
It's hard to say DUI, because DUI in young people is not necessarily it's a small percentage of our fatal crashes. It doesn't matter
that they actually caused because of their bad choice they might have made, and they should have known better. Maybe is what I'm thinking about.
I don't know if I have a specific case in mind. I can tell you, I know there was one family down in the east end of the county that their son died as a teenager in a crash. He was operating a motor vehicle. His two sisters were in the back of the vehicle. They were hit by a truck. They pulled out in front. The two sisters went to were life flighted to Geisinger, and he died in that crash. And about 3 years later, the one sister had a similar accident and was killed in a crash. She pulled out in front and got hit by a truck. So I had to notify that family twice. I think the third child is probably still locked in a room somewhere, after all of that. So that's the one that really, bothers me. It was all bad choices. Was
it their choice though to pull out in front of them or something like that?
Well, they pulled out in front of the path of a vehicle.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
So
that.
it was They must have not seen the vehicle or something. Just the distracted driving is a huge problem.
Yeah, distracted
now
driving.
More, especially in the last 25 years, who doesn't have a cell phone?
Understood.
I think that becomes more of a problem when it comes to some of these crashes.
Sure.
Because, I guess the good thing is we've had crashes where we find the phone and we find a text message, and within a minute or two, the crash occurs. Well, what was happening? They were texting while they were operating a vehicle.
Correct, yes.
So it tells us why they ran off the road, rolled the vehicle over, were ejected out of the vehicle, and consequently died.
Yeah, okay.
So
there. I interrupted you. Now, take it away.
Yeah.
So, Are there trends in alcohol-related crashes between urban and suburban people in rural areas within our county or other counties that you can recall or know?
I don't believe so. I mean, our crashes tend to be kind of widespread, and
Really?
I mean, most of it's typically the higher populated areas, which just makes common sense that if you got a lot of people more saturated in this area than compared to Black Forest and Hillsgrove up north that way, we don't go that those directions real frequently, but on occasion, I mean, we still get up there.
And as far as the ages of the people and incidences and things like that, whether the person is 18 years old as a person might be 88 or 68, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I thought I had. Let me just hold a minute here. I thought I had a page with information. I don't. I thought I had printed that. I'm sorry.
Oh,
here.
By any means.
Here we are. So our motor vehicle crashes. We had 2019. We had 12. 2020 we had 14. 22 in 2021. 2022 we had 20. We dropped 2023 to 12, and then we were up to 21 in 2024. So those are motor vehicle crashes. I don't have a breakdown by age.
Those are deaths.
Those are deaths. Those are fatal
goodness.
crashes. So, last year we had 21 fatal crashes in the county, which is obviously considerable numbers.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the good news, the drug deaths are down. I think we had 13 drug deaths last year. But unfortunately, the fatal crashes are continue to be up. So, it's unfortunate.
Wow. Are there any innovative partnerships or initiatives you'd like to highlight, preventative measures or community programs that exist or should exist right now in the county that you can recall?
I mean, we are really fortunate here in Lycoming County. I sit with the County Law Enforcement Association. I sit with PennDOT's Highway Safety Program. We meet on a regular basis. We talk about concerns that what we're seeing on the highways. There's been a lot of change. PennDOT's, and the funding that's gone into a lot of highway improvements. When I first started 25 years ago, we saw a significant number of crashes on Route 15 up on the mountain.
Right.
And they initially thought they couldn't put a divider down that road, but lo and behold, they were able to finally do that.
Right.
And we haven't been on that mountain for a fatal crash in quite a while.
Great. How about it? It's on there too, because I could buy it all the time.
Yeah. So. And so that's kept because a lot of the crashes over on that mountain where a vehicle would hit ice or for whatever reason drift across the highway and hit oncoming traffic. And you're talking about, two vehicles going 55, 60 mile an hour and impacting. So that dividing those roads has helped. And I know they're doing a lot of that with the cable barriers on 180 out here to keep the traffic. You're better off hitting a cable barrier than you are crossing into traffic coming at you at 60 or 70 mile an hour.
Okay. So I'd like you to go on with what your thoughts are about this meeting we're having here today, this podcast. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's just another tool in the toolbox, I think, to raise awareness in our community that, we need to buckle up. The old buckle up, don't drink and drive, don't text and drive. If you're, and DUI is not just alcohol, but any prescription drugs that may impair your reaction time. All of those substances, whether it's marijuana or Benadryl, some of the cough medicines, cold and cough, they have fine print on there that say don't drive or operating machinery while taking these substances, but how many people really pay attention to that?
Right.
And so it's important that people do pay attention to that, because
Right.
any level of impairment, if you're involved in a crash and if you die, there'll be a tox report, and we'll find out what was in your system. And if you kill someone while under the influence, then
You're done
there's
for.
consequences.
As there should be, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Road radio's been around now for more than 30 years. Do you
Yeah.
ever recall seeing a road radio show in all the years we've been around? We've been to schools a number of times in Lycoming County, and we get out of the county plenty of times. So I was just curious. Had you ever remember
It's
seeing
been
the
a
show?
long time, but
So-
yeah, I have seen your shows before.
Have
So,
you?
but
I'm
it's
just
been a
curious
long-
if you've ever seen it before. It's changed quite a bit now since you might have seen it before and things. So it's a pretty effective tool, and we're always looking for funding. You might have seen it when Chris Smith was involved with us before. So I was just curious if you've ever seen it before and stuff. So
yeah, Chris and I, we sit on, there's actually a county DUI advisory committee with Chris Smith's on that, along with Carol Sides and other folks that have been involved in DUI prevention over the years. We meet on a regular basis. It's every other month, and talk about DUI issues. And so there's a lot of tools that this county has going to try and continue to raise awareness, and for law enforcement to be out there and try to enforce and get people off the road before we end up coming out as the coroner's office and dealing with the tragedies.
Great. Now tell me about fentanyl. What's fentanyl having to do with things now these days?
Well, fentanyl, the numbers, as I said, those deaths are down. But these are, people that are, and the good thing is that we've not seen deaths in teenagers related to fentanyl. But it's still a significant problem. And hopefully with the changes in closing the border, getting and I know the district attorney's office and the narcotics enforcement folks, they've been working hard at getting the drug suppliers off the streets, which I think has contributed a lot to the decrease. Let me see. We had, why am I not seeing him? Oh, here we are. So we had 24 drug deaths last year. We're down to 13 this year.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So yeah, the numbers were 31, 45 in 2020, peak of COVID. There was fentanyl on the stuff was out there. We had a huge number of deaths there, 26, 23, 24, and 13. So I was really happy to see the 13 drug deaths for last year. That's a significant improvement. But fentanyl is such a deadly substance, and then they're cutting it with xylazine, horse tranquilizers. So there's no quality control on this stuff that's being sold on our streets. And, one pill can kill. I think that was the big DEA push for quite a while. It's still out there. But it's true. When you're not sure what's in that pill, you may be thinking you're just getting a high, but you can certainly die from that.
Right.
So
the Road Radio Show now is all about proactive prevention. And we try to touch as many kids, really no matter what ages they are. And fentanyl is a big topic right now in our show.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on reaching those kids with that message? And what do you think is that particular message with those kids? I mean, how are we doing with that?
Well, the fact that we don't have any kids dying in Lycoming County, that's great. I'm not sure that's the case across the Commonwealth or across the country. But I think in Lycoming County that it seems to be whatever we're doing seems to keep the juveniles from getting into this stuff. But I don't know how many of those then end up dying in their 20s and 30s because maybe they start using and then it progresses where they're using more and more. And unfortunately, whether they switch a supplier and end up dying as because of that, because they're getting something that's loaded with xylazine or some other substances. I don't know. I can't really explain that, but I mean, I'm glad that we're not seeing the high numbers of juveniles getting, and dying from this stuff. So,
Great.
But it's good.
What else would you like to add that you can think about right now with this message about Road Radio USA, alcohol and other drugs, anything like that, and the coroner's role that you'd like to add right now with this podcast?
I think I kind of hit on this. I mean, when it involves young adults and teenagers, they are by far the worst cases that we have to deal with. And so anything we can do in the community to eliminate or greatly reduce those deaths, I'm stand fully behind. So I think I applaud your efforts and everyone's efforts to doing these programs, because I think it does make a difference, and hopefully we'll just try to keep things under control, because parents should not have to bury their children for whatever reason, whether it's alcohol or car crashes or accidental deaths, drownings.
Right.
Shouldn't happen. We just should not have to, whether it's parents burying kids or grandparents burying their grandchildren. We've got to do whatever we can to keep try to keep these kids from harm's way.
Can you give us an example? I don't know if you're really allowed to do this. What was the very last one you had to deal with?
Last one.
Was there one like in the last month, for example, that you had to go?
Well, we had it was in the news. The fatal crash up on Route 220, where the woman traveled south in the northbound lane and hit. The gentleman up there was not a juvenile, but and had killed that man, and she was injured then and taken to the hospital. So
she was not injured.
She was injured,
but he was killed.
Yeah, he was killed.
Oh boy, and that was alcohol related.
Yeah, I believe so at this point. So that's still an ongoing investigation, but we'll see what shakes out of that. But yeah. So
okay.
All right.
Thanks for your time.
Okay,
this
thank you.
This is Road Radio.
Sounds good. Do you want to just do like an actual wrap up? So thank you for your time and all, and then we'll do any follow-ups.
Okay.
Very well. Mr. Kiessling, thank you very much for your time here today and for Road Radio Podcast. Have a great day today, okay?
All right.
Thanks
thank you.
Yep, bye now.
Thanks for listening to the Proactive Prevention Podcast. Until next time, this is Jimbo in stereo.